Sahaviryam karavavahai tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So now the discussion is about, the teaching has started and the discussion is about what is the nature of Atma. Okay? What is the nature of I, which Nachiketa wanted to know, and there Lord Yama says it is na jayate mriyate. Okay? It is Atma is something which is not born, and Atma is something which does not die. Okay? So therefore, if my conclusion is that I am as good as the body, then what is my conclusion? I'm born and I die, right? So that means that this, if the Atma is free from birth and death, then it must be other than what I think Atma is. Where is my I? In the body. Okay? So therefore, now why should I believe Vedanta? Because it's everybody's experience that I am as good as the body. Why should I believe Vedanta? When it says you are more than the body. That's why there is no reason why we should believe Vedanta unless it can prove to us why it is not. It has to prove. It has to substantiate what it says with arguments so that I can see that it is true. Right? So therefore there is a methodology to lead you to discover that. So we have started using the methodology to see how you are not as good as the body. So we use this methodology of examining what exactly the body is. What we found is that this body, which I think is a very tangible entity, when I look into it, the body itself constitutes of so many different parts. Hands, legs, different organs, heart, spine, all these different things. So that means body is only a name for all these different parts which are put together. Then we take other part, which is one of the part which is a constituent of the body. That part itself has so many other parts. Okay? Then you take another part which is blood. Then blood has what? Another parts. Right? So you have forms within forms, within forms, within forms. Right? And then you have how many forms in this one body? Infinite forms. If you look at the number of cells that you have in this body, do you know the number of cells that are existing in the body? Billions of cells. So now, what you have done is, billions of cells, which are billion in number, you have reduced it to one entity. Logically, it's not possible. You think it's one entity, I. But in fact, how many things are there in your body? Billions of things, which are changing all the time. The cells that you were born with, none of the cells that you were born with exist in your body now. Because after every 12 years, the cells just go away. The body is completely regenerating all its cells within 12 years cycle. So that means we need to re-look at what our definition of I is. It's not just a matter of believing what Vedanta says. Vedanta is making us think about things in a way that we never thought about, that we took for granted. Okay? So therefore, Now, if I'm not the body, then where is my second identification? Is it clear why I'm not the body? And in fact, if you look at the cell, let's look at the cell, because this body, if you come back, then it's nothing but different cells which are put together. Okay? Now, if I ask you, are you the cell? What would you say? No. It's very clear. Because you can look at the cell and you can observe it, right? So that means it becomes an object. If one cell is an object, right, and then every other cell is an object, you add object plus object plus object plus object. Does it become subject? Logically, it's not possible. You add all objects, it doesn't become subject. It remains objects. Objects. Not even one object. Right? So body is nothing but different objects which are put together, which are arranged in a way that there is an increasing arrangement. Cells come together and what? Create what? Different organs. And each organ works in harmony with the other organ so that the whole system as an organic system can work in an intelligent manner. That it is intelligently put together is a fact. That I have a special relationship with this body is a fact. We are not denying relationship with the body. Please understand. The I is not floating. You have a special relationship with this body. But because you have special relationship with this body does not mean you are the body. Just like within all the different houses, you have one house which is your house. Right? But does the house become I? The house doesn't become I. You have a relationship with that I. And just because it is not I does not mean the house is not I, so I'm indifferent to I. Is it true? I'm indifferent to my house. Is it true? You take care of your house. You keep it clean. You keep it nice. Okay? So therefore, you are not the body is a fact because one, first of all, body as an entity that you think is one is actually what? Constituting of billions of things. Yes.
I noticed that I still have a problem when it comes to the brain.
Yes.
So of course I think, okay, without legs, without arms, maybe even without kidneys, I can even get a new heart. But what about the brain?
Yes, so now we are coming to the mind.
There's a doubt that,
yes,
is it really true?
True, yeah, okay, wonderful, that's true.
I can see, of course, the brain is also cells and nerve cells, and I'm not the cells, but the brain is a complete entity, or as a complete organ.
I think they just wanted to do a head plantation now. I don't know what was the outcome. Yeah, it was just about
me
to come.
on another body. It's still the same brain.
Ah, you get, no, I think you just get a new head, not a new body. I'm not sure. What they want to try.
So you're right, we're coming to that,
Okay.
right? So the physical body, now first I want you to be clear that the physical body, now when you're talking about brain, there is one thing which is a physical brain and the other thing is what we call mind, which is a subtle function, what the brain can do in the way of thinking, right? So I think you mean the mind and not the physical brain.
That's where I'm not really sure. So
Okay.
I'm thinking if it would be possible to transplant a brain into another head, for example. I think I would move with that brain somehow. That's my thinking.
I
And
see
if
what
the
you mean.
brain is dead,
Yeah.
there's a likelihood that I'm dead.
The body.
I read read an article where there was a from heart plantation. This was written with the heart. They moved the soul, so that the people who get the new heart really changed their behavior.
Yeah,
Totally.
I read similar things. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, see, this what you are saying is that let's examine a little bit more, right? Hopefully, in the process of inquiry, it will become clear. Okay. That you have a specific connection with one particular brain is a fact, right? So maybe even if you transplant this to that and this will function like that, that is only because it is connected to one sukshma that I will explain, not because I is that. I will explain, right? I will explain that. So if my sukshma is transferred to another body, my sukshma will start operating through that body, but that still doesn't make it I. I will. So I will talk about it later. Okay. So basically, let's keep it at the physical level, that brain is also nothing but cells. Neurons are nothing but cells. So chemicals, you say that you add chemicals when you have some psychological problems, you go to a doctor, and what will they do? They'll add some chemicals so that you have some balances. So that means it is just chemicals, right? It's not I. Which will help you to think a little bit better and balance your thinking a little bit, right? Moods, for moods you are given medicines. Depression, what you take, what they said is in France, the highest consumption, the medicine which is which has highest consumption is Prozac, antidepressant. So that means you're adding some chemicals to balance the brain in a way that it thinks slightly differently, and you're manipulating the moods of the brain, right? But the fact is that the chemical was external, it's not I. It's doing its function of, it's like fixing a machine so that it can perform better, right?
Can I ask a question? Is it okay?
Yes.
I can wait.
Yeah, please ask.
So I go with you. This is a fact that the cells are not me. I can think that, but my experience is I experience the body as me. So the process is that I separate this both. Is it right? My experience is different than my thinking.
What Sajo is saying is true. Why is it that if you are not the body, why is it that everybody equally makes the same mistake? Right? We are not stupid people. We are not mad people. So why is it that everybody somehow mistakes the I to be as good as the body? And that is because the way the creation is, right? You are connected only to one body. The person is connected only to one body, right? So I experience only what's going on in my physical body and my mind, and I don't experience directly what happens with your body and your mind. If you have pain, I can empathize with your pain, but I don't feel the pain, right? So that's why, because you're born with this relationship, right? This is what lends for that mistake. If you did not have connection, if you didn't have experience with reference to one body, you will not take yourself to be that body. The experience is something which is a fooling, that becomes the basis for you to make a mistake. But upon inquiry, you can actually correct that mistake. Yeah?
Okay.
Isn't it that we have learned to say I with a name, and to say I? Little children don't say I. Say Carl. Yuta is doing this in a third person,
Yeah.
they spoke. So my view is that we learned this through conditioning.
I don't think so, because even if the child, you don't tell the child whether the child uses the third person or the child uses the term I. The very fact that the child feels only with reference to one body and not with other body, the natural conclusion is I am this, right? That's a natural conclusion. It's a natural, it's not a learned conclusion.
The stages of development of a human body, there are several stages. And it's true that when the child is in the early years, 0 to 2 years, there is no sense of I. But then as the mind matures, as the motor skills mature, as the organs also get more mature and so on, then the next stage of development in a human, let's say, mind, is that at the age of what? Between 2 and 4, right? The sense of I is emerging. And then the child learns to say I. Okay? But it doesn't mean that, it's not because he has to learn and the parents told him that now you are this body. It is because it's just the natural growth of this physical and subtle body which are making him and leading him to do that. Okay, we'll see more when she will speak.
So it's part of a human programming when that separation kind of comes up. It is not a learned behavior.
Yeah.
Even without learning, you will have, when you are between 2 to 4, if you have proper brain working, you will have that sense of individuality.
When you become an adult in any culture, different cultures across time, any adult will identify very much with that, and he will feel hunger, and he will not feed his friend's mouth when he feels hunger. See, it's a biological basis. It's not, it's a functional biological basis you have to understand, this sense of I. It's not like a total mistake also. There is one part of this sense of I which is biological grounded. Right? Nothing to be learned here. Genetic. Right?
Right. So now here we are not trying to eliminate the experience that I have with one unique body. That you cannot eliminate. What you are trying to do is, through inquiry, that jumbling up which is there, you are trying to remove it. That's all. Okay? Even after you remove cognitively the mistake, don't think that your connection with one given body is going to disappear. It will remain. But what you will understand is that I am not only that. It is like the pot understanding that I am the clay. When the pot understands this, this cup understands I am the glass, does the glass, the cup has to disappear to understand I am the glass? No. The cup and its form remains. What the cup understands is, I'm not just what the cup understands is, I'm not just the cup, because cup is a form. The glass is more fundamental, and in fact, if there are thousands of glasses with different forms, thousands of cups with different forms, with only one content, which is a glass, then how many things, there are many forms, and each form is different from the other form. But in terms of content, how many contents are there? One. Non-duality does not mean you give up the forms. What it says is, forms don't matter. It is the content which matters. What happens is, we pay more attention to forms than to the content. But when you pay attention to the content, you don't have to deny the form. You have to understand the relativity of that form. Okay, we will see that later on. Let's move a little bit and let's see, if you are not the body, which is constituting of cells and billions of them and changing all the time, then what about the mind? Okay, because one thing that we all, as I said, when I asked who are you, who are you, who are you, two things are the most fundamental things with which we identify. Okay, one is the physical body and the second is mind. So here this verse says, now along when you come into being, you come with a particular mind, right, which is your unique mind. And when the body goes, what happens to the mind? Mind goes along with it, right? You don't stay and talk without the body.
At least not to other bodies.
Right. So therefore, the body and mind, they are working right together. So now let us look at this unique mind that you enjoy, which is different from my mind, and this is why it gives me an identity, right? When you say you're an engineer, which aspect of your being you're connecting to with your mind, what you have learned. Right? Now, let us see if you are the mind. What is, I'm not talking about the physical brain, because physical brain is chemicals, electrics, neurons, all of that, right? Mind is what, when we talk understand this, okay? When we talk about physical body, we talk about what we call sthula sharira. Sthula sharira means the gross body, the physical body. Then what we say, what makes the body alive, okay, is what we say sukshma sharira. Okay? And what does sukshma sharira include?
Mind.
It includes mind, but it's not only mind. Right?
Energy, perhaps.
No.
Prana.
Yes.
Exactly. So the sukshma sharira is a technical term. Because generally what happens is, when you say subtle body, people start imagining auras, energies, all kinds of things happen in their mind. Vedas are very down to earth. They define what sukshma sharira is. They define what subtle body is. They say, what is subtle? Subtle is something which I cannot see. That's all it means by subtle. Okay? So for example, why mind is subtle? Because what's going on in your mind, I can't know by just looking at you. By looking at your forehead, I have no access to what is going on in your mind. This is why it is subtle with reference to me. I can see your physical body, but I can't see your thoughts. That's why you call it subtle. Right? Don't start imagining things. Very simple. Okay? Now the subtle body also includes prana, as he said. Why does it include prana? Prana means, prana again is divided into 5 functions. What are the 5 functions?
Breathing,
Inhaling, exhaling, digestion,
blood
circulation,
and recreative organs.
yes, recreative organs.
And
And
And then,
vomiting.
yeah, excretion.
excretion.
Yeah. So that means these are all the subtle functions that the body is. I can't see your blood circulating. That's why it's subtle. Right? I can't see what is happening when you take the air and what is happening with reference to how well it is going into your lungs and how it is, making your digestive. It's not something which is visible, that's why we call it subtle. Okay? So all these different subtle functions, so that means you also have identification with the subtle body. Subtle body also includes what? Pancha prana, then pancha gnanendriya. Gnanendriya means sense organs. What does it mean? I can see your physical eye, but I don't know whether your eyes, how much your eyes can see. If you were not wearing glasses, I would have no way to figure out whether you wear glasses or not. Because I only see your physical eye, I have no access to the sight that your eyes have. That's why it's subtle. I can see your physical ear, but I have no idea how much you can hear. That's why it's subtle. Unless I'm a doctor and I examine, then it's a different thing. Okay? So therefore, Pancha prana, the capacity of eyes, the capacity of ears, the capacity of nose, the capacity of sense of touch and taste, these are the 5 sense organs. Right? If your skin, if your whole part is numb, you have what? Your sense of touch is gone. But I don't know. Only you know. Okay? So pancha gnanendriya, pancha karmendriya. What are the pancha karmendriya? Organs of action. You can have hands, which is physical, gross, but if I'm paralytic, the capacity of hand to move has gone. But just by looking at my hand, you don't know whether it can move or not. That's why it's subtle. You have physical legs, but how much the legs can work, I don't know. Right? So this is why it is subtle. So pancha, what are the 5 organs of action? Hands, legs, speech, sorry?
Eyes.
No, eyes are sense organs. Organs of action.
Move.
Speech,
Excretion.
excretion and procreation. Right? So therefore, you have 5 organs of action, 5 sense organs, 5 pranas, and also the mind. These are all constituting subtle body. Okay? Now the mind itself is something which is, if you ask, am I the mind? In fact, you don't only have identification with the mind, you also have identification with what? Your subtle body. When you say, I'm blind, where are you equating your eye with? No, with the sight.
The sight. I thought, I can't remember, or this is blank.
With your sight. When I said I'm deaf, you're identifying, you're putting your eye into one of the capacities of your organs. Right? So this is how you not only make with reference to physical body, you also make with reference to not only mind but other parts which constitute your subtle body. Please understand that. When you say a person is dead, what has happened? The physical body has remained exactly as it is. But you say the person is dead. Why? What has left? You don't see anything physical leaving, but something has made the body dead. This is what we call prana has gone. Subtle body. Right? So therefore, your identification is, your eye is, you have put your eye in the physical body, That is one mistake, and then you have put your I in this subtle body. Different functions of the subtle body. Now, let's see why I'm not the subtle body. Why not?
If I don't see, I am still.
Excellent, right? Very good, good logic. Okay, let's say from the birth till now, your eyesight has undergone how many changes? Small, minute changes, and then one day I have to wear glasses. Visible change. Right? Then small changes. Ah, after now we're reading glasses. Visible change. Okay? This is something which is constantly changing. Okay? And you're aware of all the changes. And when the changes take place, do you go away? You don't go away. You are the observer of all the different changes. If with every change you went away, who would know the coming of the next change? Okay? So therefore, there is you, the observer, who observes the changing conditions of your eyes. But what do you say? I'm becoming blind. Okay? And it's true. The eyesight is changing. We are not denying that. I am blind is your conclusion. Okay? Now, the mind, which is the biggest source of identification. You don't say nobody says I'm the mind. Does anybody say I'm the mind? No. But when you say I'm depressed, I'm low, I'm sad, I'm angry, it's true. It's not that you are just imagining things. There is a mind which is undergoing those emotions. It's a fact. But what is going on in the mind is your conclusion. Okay. Now, let us look at the relationship that you have with your mind. What is mind? I'm not talking about the physical brain, which is it's part of the sthula sharira. I'm talking about the subtle, the capacity of the brain to do the thinking process that it is able to do, right? So that means mind is nothing but thoughts, because it's a subtle. The thoughts, what is your relationship with a thought? What is your relationship with the thought? Are you the thought or are you the observer of the thought?
Both.
Very good. You are a real Vedantin. I will come to that. I will come to that. That's true. What she's saying is right.
Did you say both?
She said both. Because there is a Satya-Mithya relationship there. So here there is both cup and clay, both. Cup and glass, both. True. So, forget it. Okay. Now, what is the mind? Mind is what? Nothing but thoughts, right? One thought after the other. Are you the thought or are you the observer of thought? Let's postulate that you are a thought. If you were a thought, how many times were you coming and going? Every thought arises, you are born. And the one thought goes in how many seconds? How long does the thought last? How many? You try to stretch your thought. How long will it last?
Gone.
Gone. By the time you try to stretch it, it's gone.
We have clouds of thoughts, familiar thoughts.
Yes, but you have series of thoughts. So that's why there is a seeming
Opinion
continuity.
is
Chronicle thoughts.
Yes, exactly. Right? So therefore, if you were the thought, right? With every thought you will be born, and when the thought goes, you will go. And if you go, how would you know what was the previous thought? It's impossible to know. Because you're gone. Along with the thought you're gone, then how will you know there was a previous thought? Every minute will be a new minute.
But it's the same as like with the body. If I'm honest, I would say the thoughts. I perceive it that way. I can think it different, like you.
Yes.
But
That's why, see, what is our experience leads to mistake. That's why you need an inquiry. If your experience did not lead to a mistake, you don't need an inquiry.
Yeah, but it's not so easy, because I'm not only the thought, I'm the whole mechanism. There is a thought and I have a feeling, and if somebody said
Yes.
you are the stupid one, then I hear the thought, and,
Yes.
and
Okay.
there comes immediately a reaction, and this is what I think I am heard.
Yes, okay, wonderful.
All the
Right, very good. So
whole
let's
picture.
analyze a little bit more about what Yuta is saying. She's saying that that's true, that there are all these thoughts, but they're not just some mechanical thoughts, right? Situations occur, thoughts arise, they create reactions in me, so it's all seeming all very real, right? So therefore, it's true. That's why, otherwise, if we did not have this real experiences, nobody would be depressed in this world. Nobody would be with a long face. True.
very true. Yeah.
Okay. So there is some truth in our experiences. But what we are trying to do is not to stay with those experiences, but to understand something more than what we know through our experiences. Right? So therefore, let's analyze. The thoughts that I just said, which are coming and going, they are not just unrelated thoughts which are coming and going. They have a story. Every thought comes along with a story. Your mental models, your beliefs, your opinions about yourself, the opinions that you have about the world, the opinions that you have about your relationships. Mind is complex. It's highly complex. Okay? It's a sophisticated instrument. It's not a simplistic instrument that you're given. Okay? These thoughts, as Vedanta says, can be divided in 4 parts. 4 different ways that the thought patterns work. One is, as Yuta was saying, that somebody says something to me and I feel hurt. What kind of a thought is the thought of hurt? What do we call it? Emotions, right? So that means I am hurt, or the feeling of hurt is what is felt in the mind, and this we label as emotions. Any feelings. Feelings of happiness, feelings of sadness, feelings of hurt, feelings of jealousy, all these are categorized as one set of function of the mind, which is what we call emotional being. But is the mind only emotions? No. Right now, when I'm talking to you and you're trying to understand, are you using your emotional mind? Maybe the emotions can come up, it's possible. You can be angry that, what is this going on, right? Or you can be, wow, I'm having such a great experience. It can evoke experiences, but you are mostly in what mode?
Analyzing.
Analytical mode. You are trying to understand what is being said and you are trying to figure out what it is. So that means there is one aspect of the mind which can feel the emotions. There is another one which has the analytical capacity, cognitive. This is what we call cognitive mind. Ability to understand things. You go to school, you try to understand what the teacher is saying. What aspect you are using?
Intellect.
Analytical mind. Right? Intellect. This is called buddhi, intellect. You have a question?
I have the difficulty saying with the thought that emotions are felt in the mind. In my perception or experience, I think the emotions are experienced in the body actually. The mind seems to be for me more the source or the which causes the cause of the emotions. No.
Okay. The emotions are generally felt in the mind, but you can see the effect of that emotion in the body. You can see that. You're right, right? For example, if I'm sad, I'm not only carrying the sadness in the brain, it can physically manifest in form of aches, pains, tears, right? So these are all physical, you're right. So the body and mind are not two totally separate entities, they work in harmony. The subtle and physical body, they work in harmony, right? And then what is felt in the mind also percolates through the body, correct? Right? So do you want to add anything? No. Okay. So the other one is what we call cognitive capacity. Okay? Is there any other thing which constitutes the mind? Memory. Excellent. Okay? It's such an important functioning, which is so important because you try to, you meet a patient of Alzheimer and it's such a difficult life because they forget how to even open the thing, because that memory which enables them to do it is no longer available. Or even they forget their own sons, their own daughters, and sometimes it's so painful, to see that they don't recognize you, So that means memory is the one which gives a continuity. Without memory, there is no continuity. One moment comes and it goes and it's gone. You can never learn anything because by the time you have to learn 1 + 1 is equal to 2 again and again and again because by the time you finish learning, you've forgotten it. Memory is very, very important. That's why when people tell you to forget past, that means they erase that function of memory, which is such an important function of living healthy, normal life. Okay? So therefore, that's why the mind is a complex entity. Thoughts, which are divided into emotions, intellect, memory, and what is the fourth aspect? Ahankara. Okay, ahankara in Sanskrit is a technical word. In English, when you translate, you say ego. And when you say ego, it has a connotation which is like what? Something bad.
The what?
Something not good. Right? But in Sanskrit, it doesn't have a negative connotation. It only says that it's a function of mind where when you go through experiences, as Yuta said, and when somebody said something to you, it's not just that the emotion of hurt comes. What is your feeling? I am hurt. So that means there is this I sense that you have, which is a mode of thinking which joins with the emotion of hurt, and it combines the two and it says what? I am hurt. Now the next minute your friend comes and gives you a beautiful chocolate that you really love. Then that hurt turns into what? Oh, I'm happy. Right? Now that hurt goes, and what is your next sentence? I am happy. So now your I has what? That the faculty, your I thought has combined with another emotion, which is that of happiness, and it has combined the two, and it says, I'm happy.
So the ego remains.
So that means your I sense keeps changing. Right? According to what is happening. In one day, you can feel great, and you can feel depressed, and you can feel jealous, and you can feel very happy, very content. Everything can happen in one day itself. Why? Because your thoughts are changing.
But the I sense is there always, but the other
1 minute. Okay?
changing.
So, 1 minute.
Content.
So that means now, if your mind switches from an emotional mode to a cognitive mode when you go to work and you need to figure out something, your I sense remains or not? Yes. So that means this I sense, which is an I thought, is now operating. It is continuing to exist, but it works in conjunction not with the emotion but with what? Your intellect. That's when you can say, I can figure it out. I'm smart, I'm intelligent. So that means now your I sense, which is part of your mind, I thought, right? It gets identified not only with your emotions, it also gets identified with your cognitive capacity. It also then gets identified with your memories. You don't just have memories, you say, when I was young, I did this. My father used to buy these things for me, which I loved. Okay, so that means this I entity, even though it's constantly changing, it seems to be constant. Because with whether it is when emotions are gone and when cognitive mind appears, when memory appears, your I sense continues to identify with all three. That's what gives you a sense of individuality, which is a continuous, it's an entity. It becomes entity. Yes.
Can I ask something a little bit back about the relationship about these mind functions and the heart center? No? Emotion, there are some bodily reactions like tears, and the mind is labeling it. No, this is whatever. Yeah? And then what does Vedanta say to the functioning about heart and
as I told you that, what Vedanta says is that the subtle body and physical body are just operating in conjunction with each other, right? So whether it is happening only at the level of brain, or it is also transferring to different parts of the body, the fact remains that it still happens within physical body and subtle body. Whether it happens here or it happens here, and they are all connected, right? It's not still you.
Okay, but there's no special thing with the heart, because there are so many
Sometimes
that
What
the
heart
heart
you
is the
mean?
center of so this
Ideas.
physical heart, physical or spiritual heart, whatever.
But in anybody says I. The I is not I. The I is all here.
Yeah.
So
It's true that your identity, that's why in Upanishad there is one sentence which says, Chidyate hridaya grantihi. So that means Vedanta, what does it do? It undoes knots of your heart. Hridaya grantihi. Grantihi are all the knots of your heart. Okay? It's a figurative speech to say, or it takes away all your confusions and all the entanglements. And sometimes the impact of what you feel is also here, right? That's why they say that heart attack. Whereas the people who suffer heart attacks are the ones who have suppressed emotions. Everything is suppressed and suppressed. Where is the effect of, one is the sadness or something that you feel in your brain, but the other thing is there is an immediate impact on what? The blockage in your arteries. The cost of not expressing your emotions. Cost of denying your emotions.
Sometimes when we sing the mantras, I feel a relief here.
Yes, exactly. So the body, please don't make it into some kind of a division. It's all integrated. It's an integrated mechanism.
It's not because we give different names
Centers.
and we say one is body, one is mind, and so on, that it is like it is different tangible entities. See, we take the names, because we give a name we think is very real, and there is one thing which is separate, which is body, and another one which is separate, which is the mind. We are looking only at one thing, and we are looking at it through different angles. One is through physical angles, and that aspect of this thing, which is one thing, we call it body.
Visible and invisible.
See, this dualism between mind and matter, body and mind, and so on, it's again the same trap. Taking the names and the words we are using to represent things which are very tangible, and then we make it like totally separated. See? Where is one thing, and it's all intertwined and so complexly organized. It's amazing. Okay? So it's just for the purpose of understanding this thing from different standpoints, that we are using different names. But don't fall in the trap where you will say, because we are using different words and names, there are real entities which are there. No. And really distinct. No. You see that?
Then you ask any the medical person, then, where are when the sense organs, let's say, how is the mechanical process of seeing happens? What happens? When I see you, do you physically enter into my brain? No. Hopefully not. Otherwise the whole world will be in my inside. Right? So what happens? So there is a light which enables my eyes to catch what? The image. Where is that image sent? On the lens, and then the lens sends it where?
To the brain.
To the brain. And in that brain, I make sense of what I see. I can't do it in heart. I can't do it in my arm. I can't do it in my legs. Brain is a center. This is why you call it CPU, the central processing unit, where all the information gathers, and you make sense of this.
So that's why you are your brain.
It's a central processing unit where you gather information.
But you can upgrade it to the next version. This is what we are trying to do now.
I like upgrade.
Okay. So anyway, please understand it's an integrated whole, but where your identification is with reference to what is the purpose, it is not to say whether it's here or here. Whether it's here or here or here or here, it's not you.
And the four functions, are they in a hierarchy? Is Ankara the highest and emotion the lowest?
No, this is not, there is no hierarchy, but what seems to be the more solid entity is I sense. This loaded. Your I sense is loaded with hundreds of opinions that you have about your, depending upon what emotional life you've had, depending upon what memories you are actually, storing within you or actively resurfacing, okay? Or the cognitive capacities you have. Everything which is there, you have all combined it and you have joined it with your I sense, so that I sense has become a solid entity, even though in one day you can have 20 different thoughts about what is the nature of I. Even though it's changing constantly, there is a seeming one stable entity. Yeah.
I just would like to add one thing, is that this ahankara is not only making the connection with reference to the other function of the mind, which are the emotions and this intellect and so on, saying I am sad, I am clever, and so on, but also with the body. The activities of the body. In fact, when you are walking, what is walking? You say, I am walking, but it's the legs which are moving. And you say, I am walking, I am a walker. I am a walker, I become a walker. Or I become a sitter, somebody who is seated. Right? So the I sense also owns up whatever is happening at the level of the body.
Yeah.
Then also at the level of a prana. I am sick.
Hungry.
I'm hungry. Okay? And what is interesting, because it takes itself also to be very much a doer. This is very important. The main thing, the main, let's say, attribute of this I sense is that this, I am the one who is doing everything. I am a singer. I am a talker. I am a fighter. I am a writer. You see all this? This is all sense of I.
Exactly. So the I sense is not only exactly different functions of the subtle body, different functions of the physical body, so it becomes a very solid entity. And that's why when that sense of I is shaken, people can't handle it. Because my sense of I, with reference to all these different functions, is so deep and so well entrenched, and it is based on some empirical experiences which are felt by me. That's why Vedanta is a tough job, to make you see you are not only that.
And at the same time, it's a relief because...
Yes, okay. So now the question is, my God, all I thought was with reference to either my physical body, or my prana, or different functions of my subtle body, including different aspects of my mind, if all this is not I, what is I? What is left?
The one who observes all this.
Excellent. There is only, because it may seem as though nothing is left. But as he very rightly says, what remains is the one who observes different changes that are taking place in the body, different functions that are also happening in the subtle body, different thought processes which are going on in the mind. There is an observer. Upanishads say, what is your true nature? You are that observer. What is the relationship between observer and the observed? Observer is what? The subject. And what is observed is what? The object. Whatever you observe, do you become that? You observe the table. Do you become the table? You can't. Exactly. You can't become something that you observe because it's an object. Otherwise, if what I observed, I become that, I would have become so many things because I have observed millions of things. Okay. So therefore, who I am is what? An observer which has to be, as Yuta says, distinct from the observed. Logically, it cannot be the other way. What is the nature of mistake that I am making? Whatever is the characteristic of what is observed, the object of my observation, I'm imputing it on what? The observer. That is a mistake. The observed objects are there. We are not denying that. But that imputation of attributes of observed objects, I impute it on the observer. This is where the mistake is. If I undo the mistake, I have clarity. I understand that the body is paining. True. I am pained is my conclusion. Body is paining, a fact. Mind has, right now, the mind is temporarily going through phase of sadness, fact. I am depressed, conclusion. You are not trying to disown, please understand, you are not trying to deny the objects. We are not trying to deny the experiences. What we are trying to do is understand the difference between the experiences and the experiencer. The experiencer is always free from all the different experiences. Experiences change all the time. They come and they go. How long does any one experience last?
Short.
Very short. Because we have series, as Yuta was saying, we have series of similar experiences. It may seem to us that we have a long experience. But actually it's like a film. When you watch a film, there are all these short, and you see it as like 3-hour movie.
It's called our life.
Huh? This is called your life. short frames, and then they become into one continuous movie of 3 hours, which gives you tears, which makes you laugh, which makes you do all kinds of things. Right? So therefore, the body and mind is not I am the observer. That is a huge revelation. And that observer is different from it never takes on the characteristics of what is observed. The observer doesn't take on the characteristics of what is observed. Logic. Now, let us look at this verse. It says, Na jayate mriyate va vipaschita. Okay? The body is born, the body dies is a fact. I am, because the body is born and the body dies, I am born and I am dying is a conclusion. Body is born, body is dying. Nobody can change that, nobody can shift it. Okay? Now, so then, what is now the nature of observer? You need to think about it. Right? So here he says that nature of observer, because now you know you are the observer who's observing changing conditions of body, mind, different functions of subtle body, everything. Different sense of I that you have, ahankara. Okay. It says you are ajaha, nityaha, shashvataha, ayam puranaha. 4 things. You're not 4 things, you're only one thing seen from different standpoint. Okay? The observer, it's a big statement, please understand. It's unborn. My God. The observer is, the body is born, but the observer is unborn. I thought that the observer comes along with the body. Here it says the observer is not dependent on the body, it as though makes a connection with that body when the body is born. Okay, so it is unborn observer. Now the question is, how many observers are there in this universe?
1 in billions.
Okay, exactly. So I have one husband and wife in my class. So I asked this question. I said, okay, you are not what is observed, you are the observer. How many observers are there in this universe? So the husband says, as many bodies there are that many observers. And the wife said, there is only one observer.
And it's me.
One controller.
So now we need to ask, there are 2 possibilities, right? There are billions of observers. Yes, I'm independent of the body, mind and senses, but I'm one observer. You are also an observer, different from me, observer of your body, mind and others' body and mind. You are the 3rd observer, you are the 4th, you are the 5th, you are the 6th. So that means now what is it? There are 2 possibilities. You have pockets of all these observers, or you have only one observer. Which one do you think is more correct? One observer. Correct. What is the logic that we use? Because everything that we say, we need to substantiate. It's not just feeling.
Because if I'm not born, or if the observer is not born, and he can't die, then he's not associated with the body.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Did you hear what he said? He said that the divisions exist, the differences exist at the level of bodies. True, there are different bodies. Nobody is denying different bodies. The differences are at the level of mind. Minds are different. Your mind is very different from my mind. Nobody is denying that. Okay? But if I'm independent of the body and mind, and I'm not born with this body and mind, right? All the differences exist at the level of body and mind. Bodies and minds are different. Okay? But the observer, which is, let's say, the awareness or the consciousness because of which I observe different things, okay, what attribute can I give to that awareness because of which I'm able to observe things, which is different, where your awareness is different from my awareness, or your consciousness is different from my consciousness. Which attribute will distinguish? If I have to say there are two objects, I need to show that one object, this glass, has this form and this jug has the other form. That's what distinguishes. This is this size, that is that size. So what is the basis for two is what I have to prove, that there are two things with different characteristics. But if I have already shown you that the differences are there, but in the observed category, not, then what is the difference in observer category? The awareness. What attribute will you give to your awareness which is different from my awareness? If you've already taken out from that awareness your identification with the body and mind.
There is no difference.
There is no attribute. It's the same. So that means there is no, in order to make a logical statement that your awareness is different from my awareness, you have to be able to show me what is it which is different between our awareness. But every distinguishing factor is already only with reference to body and mind, which I have already told you is not observer.
But what is the relationship between mind and observer? Doesn't the mind observe, or is it something else what is observing?
Yeah, so that is good. What you are saying is very true. That when you are observing anything, you need a mind.
It happens in the mind.
Yeah, it happens in the mind. Okay? But what we are saying is that the very faculty of the mind is kind of able to observe things because of the presence of another thing, which is more real.
What is another?
More real.
More real.
More real.
Right? So, I will come to that. That's a very good question. I will come to that. And how do you know that? I will come to it. I will come to that, and in fact, what we use so let's say you have a tree thought, right? Then that tree thought is replaced by thought of a lion. Okay? And the tree thought is something which is in between the tree thought and a lion thought, there is a silence. Right? When the thought is there, is the observer in form of awareness or consciousness there?
Yeah.
Yes, it is there. Right? Now the tree thought has gone and it is what? Replaced by lion thought. Is the awareness, the thought has changed from tree to lion. But has the awareness, because of which the changes in forms are observed, undergone any change? The thoughts have undergone change. But the awareness, because of which now you see lion, has not undergone any change. Then in between two thoughts there is silence. Has the awareness gone during the silence? No. So that means that the awareness is something which is invariable,
Which is permanent.
which is permanent. So that means it is available to you in your brain, and what has happened is the attribute on that awareness, you're loading that awareness with what? The characteristics of thoughts. What is Vedanta doing is separating the two. What it is saying is there is one aspect which is variable, the other aspect is invariable. That invariable which is independent of the variable is your real nature. Right? Now, as she was saying, there are no two things. I will come to it in the next verse. I will come to it. Right? First, let's understand, then I will come back to your point, which is very important point. Okay. Now, so that means that the observer, I can't give any attribute. Every attribute belongs to physical body and mind, which is an object and not the subject. Therefore, the subject is only one. Awareness is only one. It appears to be divided into many. Just like, in order for you to understand that better, right, this cup, the cup space, this is another cup space, this is another glass space, this is another jug space. How many spaces are there? One. Then why? They seem to be all four.
Because of forms.
Exactly. The forms seem to confine the space. They seem to confine the space. If this cup was not there, you would not call it cup space. You can't totally deny it, but in terms of reality, this space is something which is not confined to this cup. How many spaces are there? There is only one undivided space. Seems to be divided by what?
Form.
A form. Exactly. So that means, now let's see. Understand this verse. Now, if this cup space is told, first she thought that I am only this much. Poor me, the room space is huge and cup space is so insignificant. Right? Now the cup space, there is a Vedanta to cup space and says that when you are ajaha, you are not born with a cup, birth of a cup. Before the birth of a cup, space was there or not?
Yeah.
Yes. When the cup is born, is the space there or not? Yes. But what does it seem? As though it has been confined. Is it really confined? Not really. Just an appearance. Seems like it's confined. When the cup space is told, na jayate, you are not born with the birth of a cup. And when the cup is destroyed, what happens to the space? Is the space destroyed? No. Vedanta.
The cup teaching.
The cup teaching. The space now, the cup space is free. Retaining its appearance, it doesn't have to disown its appearance with this cup. It doesn't have to do anything. Because the cup space understands that this division is an apparent division.
Understands. he wants to feel.
But he wants to feel the limitless experience. Because
Actually, there is only space.
exactly.
Because even in the material is
That is true. That is another level. That is true. That's the next level. That's true. That's true. Right? Now let's talk true. What he's saying is right. Okay? So therefore, this space is now free. Because it thought that I'm only this much. I was born with a cup. I will go away. When the cup goes away, I'm different from everybody else. Now this cup space understands that the emerging of a cup has given it as though confinement. When the cup goes, it will still remain and it will be free from that confinement. Before the cup was born, the space was there. When the cup is born, it as though takes on the confinement. When the cup is destroyed, what? It frees it from the so-called confinement. It doesn't come and go, it is always there. Your awareness, the observer, is exactly the same. When the body is born, it seems to be confined to this body. The awareness, don't search for awareness somewhere else. It's in and through your body, right? It is in and through everything, but you think, you mix it up with forms.
Yeah, but it is easy to mix it up because...
Yeah, of course. That's why otherwise, if it was not easy to mix it up, then you will not be here, right? Yeah, exactly. We'll all figure it out. We'll all be born as gnanis. It's easy to mix up, obviously. That's why. True. True. That's why universally everybody does it. And after years and years and years of Vedanta, they still cannot figure it out because the strength of the experience is so strong. True.
Yeah, because we divide it. No? This is for logically, it's total clear. But if I think of I'm dying, I know my fear is about pain in the process of dying. No? So the body is all over. I mixed up it with this.
Exactly.
No? It's not only I am the
Exactly.
eternal being
True.
and I only have to switch and
So
that's it.
So this is why.
Just leave the body.
Yes. So this is why please bring into your mind your yesterday's slide. Very critical. When in understanding Vedanta, if you pay attention only to the second bird and deny the existence of this little bird, which is your individuality, and you want to say, oh, I don't want anything to do with my individuality, I don't want anything, I only want to identify with consciousness, no way. You will fall next day and you'll bruise and the Ishvara will remind you, you can't do that.
I am the body again.
Right? So that means your individuality and your connection with that individuality has a certain reality. You cannot bypass it. But because it has a certain relationship, it does not mean that it is the relationship between awareness and everything else is not that of subject and object. Right? So when you undo the confusion, the relationship does not go away. You are still stuck with these pains and everything. But you only know that I am free from that. What is your essential nature? So, while experiencing the pain, you can say, my essential nature is I'm free from pain, while experiencing it. You don't eliminate experiences. The body is undergoing pain. And because of this special relationship that I'm born with this body, as long as that relationship remains, right, this space, because it understands that I'm limitless space, now it wants to, what? Expand. As long as the cup is there, there is no expansion. It remains exactly according to the diameter of this cup.
This is why some people say I'm imprisoned in this body.
Yeah, that's why. That is that right now you are experiencing that awareness through a body. That you can't help, that you can't change. That is Ishvara's creation. But you can figure out what is what.
And another thought is in my mind that when I started therapy, it was like the ego has to be hammered. So, like you only can see your true nature if the form is shattered.
Yeah.
And it's a misunderstanding too.
It's a misunderstanding, very true. Very good point, Sajo. Here we are not talking about destroying ego. We are not talking about destroying that I sense. That I sense is part of the human design.
It is necessary.
And it's necessary. Right? It's something that, I don't need to change my vocabulary when I learned Vedanta and said, this body is hungry. You need not say that. You can continue to say, I'm hungry. You can continue to you don't have to have only one type of emotion which is bliss. The mind is changing and it will have different kinds of emotions according to how the situations unfold. Look at this logically. If you think that when you understand, you will have only one type of feeling, what is the fallacy there? Where do the feelings exist?
Body.
In the body and in the mind. So that means you're saying I'm free from the mind, but what is happening? You're continued to identify with particular conditions of mind.
And you're limited if you only have one feeling.
Exactly. Absolutely. Imagine a wise person, right, has completely lost the sensitivity to any fear. He's crossing the road and lots you're in Bombay traffic and you're in bliss
forever. You need bliss forever.
Oh, somebody's dying, wow.
Exactly. And you lose the sensitivity of fear where with all these traffic, you're crossing a road in Bombay and you have lost your sensitivity to fear. You've eliminated fear. You will kill yourself. Fear is necessary. What? You see all these fast cars moving, there is a natural reaction in your body. To what? Be alert and protect yourself. That is necessary. Don't label emotions as negative. Every emotion is necessary.
And functions too. If I
And
would
it
not
functions.
have this connection to this body, I would brush his teeth.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Right? So we are not, it doesn't pose any problem, right? If this cup space understands that I'm the whole space, there is only one space, it can enjoy this seeming confinement. What's the problem? It's no problem. It's not that you are trying to give up this seeming confinement. You just know the reality that I was never confined.
And I'm also no longer looking to experience.
Exactly. I'm not searching for an experience of expansion.
Because it makes no sense.
It makes no sense. Absolutely. Perfect. My Vedanta is successful. I have to congratulate myself.
Even for people who didn't want to come.
Yes.
Especially for that.
Yeah, because he is on and off Vedanta. So I'm happy. I'm really happy. You got it.
The upgrade is successful.
Experience searching makes no sense because it's already there. You don't have to do anything. You just need to know it. Because it's already there. It's already free. It doesn't require anything to be done. Okay? So this is what the nature of awareness is. Ajaha. Unborn. Okay? Now, yes, what is your question now?
This is a little thing.
Yes.
You said it's already there.
Yes.
It's unlimitedness, for example. And then people said, but, or it's already there, and talk a little bit different. I can only experience what I am, so I experience Atman every time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right.
But what is about unlimitlessness?
That means that this, you experience it all the time, but you mix up what is the experienced, you take it as the attribute of experiencer. So through inquiry, you separate the two. What is experienced is different from the experiencer. The experience is never bound by what is experienced.
Okay. Yeah.
And that is sometimes...
Yeah. Go ahead.
And that is sometimes so difficult when strong emotions are there. I know it, and it's...
This is why, as I told you yesterday, that the whole Vedanta teaching is not only about this reality. It is also about dealing with your day-to-day emotions. You can't just keep on switching back, because to understand this accurately, you require a mind which is clear. And the mind which is clouded with lots of emotions and lots of distortions and all is just not subtle enough to be able to comprehend totally exactly what is told by Vedanta. So for that, you need to work not at this level, but this level also, but also at empirical level. Both. You need to do both. Yes? So that we have not yet. Right now the discussion is about the nature of Atma. We talked a lot about growth and all that, right? That is a different topic. Okay?
Actually, I was thinking that our mind is making the boundaries. One day, one night I had a vision that I was laying in bed, and somehow it came that I was laying there, so I saw myself, and from the sky a lot of feelings came down, like fear, bad thoughts, a lot of thoughts, and then I saw myself that I'm full of boundaries, and I said, stop to my vision, so stop now. And all of a sudden it went away, all the feelings, and I felt like, wow, what a space. And I had this vision once, and it felt really great to see that actually our mind is making all these boundaries.
What she's right now saying is actually so profound that if we show you the quote of Albert Einstein, it says almost exactly what you're saying. There is a beautiful quote by Albert Einstein that Surya has that we will show. We can break.
And then we
can show.
Yeah. I will show you. It's ready. Yeah.
Speaking was
Zitat.
Zitat.
Yeah, but before I break, I just want to, sorry, but I need, so Surya is saying now we have to stop.
We need a small
Okay.
break.
Sure.
Really good.
Okay.
No.
So I'll pray.
Ah.
Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti